fuck you very much, the FCC. Fuck you very much for fining me. $5,000 a fuck, so I'm really out of luck. That's more than Heidi Fleiss was charging me. So fuck you very much, the FCC, for proving that free speech just isn't free. Clear Channel's a dear channel, so Howard Stern must go. Attorney General Ashcroft doesn't like strong words, and so he's charging twice as much as all the drugs for Rush Limbaugh. So fuck you all so very much.
Freedom! Freedom!
Let me get this straight. An unelected panel of bureaucrats just decided to arbitrarily give itself the power to reclassify and regulate the internet with no input from our elected representatives in Congress. And your response to this is to start screaming the word freedom.
You done fucked it up!
Well, it finally happened. The government has taken its first tenuous steps towards putting the internet into the same kind of regulatory stranglehold it has on the rest of the economy. It boggles my mind that anyone is happy about this, and my mind does not boggle easily. Have we forgotten who the FCC is?
They're as stuffy as the stuffiest of special interest groups.
Make a joke about your bowels and they order in the troops.
In 1973, radio station WBAI played the George Carlin bit Filthy Words on the air uncensored.
All right, you're 6 years old now, and here's the list of words your dad and I don't ever want to hear you say.
Oh, hey, thanks, Ma. Boy, that's gonna save me an ass kicking or two.
A man named John Douglas, who was affiliated with an activist group called Morality in Media, claimed that he heard the broadcast and complained to the FCC. The FCC issued a stern warning that broadcasts of indecent material would be punished. WBAI sued, and the case went to the Supreme Court, which ultimately ruled that the FCC had the ability to punish certain kinds of content under some circumstances. The end result was that what is and is not indecent became a matter of the opinion of unelected bureaucrats at the FCC. This began a wave of incidents where a tiny minority of whining idiots suddenly had the ability to harass artists and broadcasters by filing complaints with the FCC. The most famous victim of this was probably Howard Stern. The FCC and conservative and religious groups implemented a decades-long siege of the Howard Stern Show, attempting to bully him off the air and end his career, because he talked about things like masturbation on the air. He ultimately moved to satellite radio after accruing roughly $2.5 million in fines. Remember the Janet Jackson nipple slip fiasco? Out of 86 million viewers, about 500,000 complained, many egged on by religious media activist groups, and the FCC threw a temper tantrum issuing fines for unrelated incidents. And let's not forget the fairness doctrine, where the FCC decided it needed to dictate to broadcasters how to present controversial issues of public importance. The FCC made itself the arbiter of what was a fair representation of controversial issues. How long do you think Jon Stewart and Stephen Colbert would have lasted if the Democrats had succeeded in bringing the fairness doctrine back? As far as we know, there's nothing about regulating content in the 300-plus pages of regulations the FCC voted into place today. But it'll be a while before we have a chance to digest it and really understand it. Whether or not there are content restrictions on this batch of regulations, the door is open for the FCC to inject itself into internet-related issues if Congress or the courts don't put a stop to this. No unelected panel should have the power to vote itself massive new powers like this. But Congress is essentially useless on this issue, largely because of the massive tide of ignorant public emotion behind the net neutrality meme. While we're on that topic, I hereby issue the Armchair Philosopher Net Neutrality Challenge. 1. Name for me 5 people who were directly harmed as a result of net non-neutrality. 2. Explain to me how these new regulations would have prevented these people from being harmed. Number 2 is basically impossible because the FCC refused to release its new regulations before their vote. Details about what's in them will now be leaking out. But the thing is, number 1 is a tough nut to crack too. Net neutrality has always been about weird what-if scenarios and not about things that have actually happened. If you can overcome my challenge and present me with facts, I will make another video about it and give you credit. But I don't think anyone can do it, because net neutrality is a solution looking for a problem. It was exacerbated by a dispute between the ISPs and Netflix, largely because of how much bandwidth Netflix uses. But the meme got out of hand, and now we're in this mess. This isn't a time for celebration, folks. We should be organizing and figuring out how to oppose this.
'Cause you can't say penis.